and welcome to yet another edition of Rough Cut. I'm Kaveree Bamzai, and as I always say, I watch all the movies so that you don't have to. And we only talk about the ones that you should watch or the ones that you really, really need to avoid. This week we have two very interesting movies, one in the halls and one on Netflix. The first one that I'm going to talk about is Pati, Patni or Wo Do. Yes, quite a mouthful. It's one of those, supposed to be a multiverse of Pati, Patni and Woes. We had one with Sanjeev Kumar and Vidya Sinha, which was I suppose quite delightful in those very innocent days. Then there was another one with Kartavya and two heroines whom I forget. I think one of them was Bhumi Pednekar. And now we have Pati, Patni or Wo Do because, of course, we are in the times of inflation and everything has to be doubled or tripled. We have a very interesting avatar of Ayushmann Khurrana. He was the bro you went to, the woke guy, the one who talked about issues of baldness or issues of color or caste or even in Action Hero, a very meta look at what an action hero or an actor's life is. I'm afraid to report that he has now descended into Uncleji territory. And this is no insult to Unclejis all over the world. But I have to say it's one of those movies where you have very Uncleji kind of humor, where it's funny if women work. It's funny if men have a thing for women outside marriage, and of course then the usual casteist religious jokes, and we're supposed to find all this very funny because men will always have a glad eye, and we will always laugh at homosexuality, and we will always laugh at women who work and women who are serious. And that's the very interesting part of this. Most of the women here are quite serious, but what happens to them around Ayushmann Khurrana is a mystery to me. In 1985, there was a cartoonist called Alison Bechdel who wrote about the rule, which became the Bechdel test, where if two women were in a conversation or were doing something that did not involve men, then that scene or that movie passed the Bechdel test. This movie, I can tell you, does not pass the Bechdel test. There's so many wonderful looking women, and none of them does anything that does not involve Ayushmann Khurrana. Well, you can be a fan of his wax mustache and his wax chest and all that, but I actually I wasn't a fan of his wax chest and wax mustache, but I did think that there was some hope in some of the movies that he did. But if we are going by the current movie, then not much hope in this generation of actors as well from Bollywood. So very sad to report that Pati, Patni or Wo Do is not worth your time. And if you want to see all these lovely ladies, that's please forgive me if I forget their names. One is Rakul, Preet, then there is Chanchal Kumari, played by Sara Ali Khan, and there is his wife Wamiqa Gabbi, sorry, not Buggy, Gabbi. All lovely looking women in various ways wrapped around Ayushmann in various songs, which come and go as they please, because of course they must have been promised a glamorous song for accepting this rubbishy movie. But one of those things about a movie like this is that you see people like Tigmanshu Dhulia, who plays the politician, who also runs a newspaper, who also has a son who may or may not be in a relationship with Sara Ali Khan. Yeah, very complicated. But obviously is lovely to watch on screen. A lot of other character actors as well who are so nice to see on screen, but it's such a waste. And as I said, sorry to report, Uncleji Ayushmann does not cut it with me. Perhaps he needs a complete reinvention, and I hope he's thinking about it. And I hope this was not the reinvention that we were waiting for. The second film that we'll talk about, which is really going from the ridiculous to the somewhat sublime, is Kartavya on Netflix, which is Saif Ali Khan in super form, which makes you wonder why we don't see too much of him on screen. He plays a cop in Haryana, so you'll say, yeah, been there, done that. But it's a somewhat unusual film. You have him really fighting for the next generation. And he talks about three generations, his fathers who believed in a certain philosophy of caste and the place of women in society. And the next generation, his, which sort of understands that those values do not work in the modern world, but is still sort of gripped by them and is trying to overcome them. And the third generation, his younger brothers, whom he's trying to help. And he talks about how young people need a khula asman to fly. And really, it's one of those films where it makes you stop and think, and in the best possible ways. I wish the climax were a little longer and a little more involved, and in a good way, I suppose. I wish this was a mini series, because there's so many aspects to it which could have been drawn out. But as the police officer who's fighting on many fronts, the personal front, trying to protect a brother who's married out of caste, trying to overcome a father who believes in honor killings, and in the most chilling way. There's a chilling scene in the film where there is a professional killer who does this for a living, just hacks young couples to death. And they ask him how many he's done, and he replies very joyfully, and he's mute, replies very joyfully that he's done 10 of these. And on the professional front, he's fighting a senior who's deeply embedded in the system and is trying to protect a local guru, played by Saurabh Dwivedi, formerly of Lallan Top. This is his second film appearance. The first was in Subedar. And he's supposed to be the local guru, godman, self-styled godman, who preys on young people and who preys on families with faith and takes their young ones and sort of uses them in his army and does bad things to them. There's a young boy who plays one of these victims and who's made to kill a person in the movie, which is a major plot point. And it's heartbreaking, actually, to watch that young child. And it's terrific to see Saif Ali Khan playing a protective police officer, someone who wants to make a difference, who wants to, which is actually Kartavya, who wants to perform his duty, but is prevented from doing so. But how, of course, because he's a hero and he's played by Saif Ali Khan, he does manage to overcome that, but after a lot of struggle. Very well done. You get the sense and feel of rural Haryana. You get the sense and feel of families fighting for truth and justice. Rasika Dugal playing Saif Ali Khan's wife is all grace and gravitas, and it's a film worth your time. So good for Kartavya, not so good for Uncleji, and that's the review from me today. Thank you.